Need a mic. I think it's down there. No, that's. Agyanam timirandasya Gyananjana salakaya Chaksuran militam yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namah Gurave Gaurachandraya Radhikaya Twadala Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namah Yang Pravajantam Manupetam Apeta Krityam Tvaipayano Virahaka Taruajuhava Putredi Tanmayataya Taravo Banedos Tam Sarvabhuta Hridayam Munimanatosmi Bhaktya Vihina Aparadalakshay Chaptasya Kamadi Tarangamadye Kripamai Tvam Sharanam Prapadyam Prende Namaste Charanarvindam Tavaivasmi Na Jivami Tam Vina Iti Vigyaya Radhe Tam Nayamam Charanantike. First, I offer my unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Diksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Swami Prabhupada, and the same unlimited obeisances in the dust of the lotus feet of my most worshipful Shiksha Gurudev, Nityalila Pravishta Om Vishnu Pad, Astotra Sat Shri Srimad Srila Bhakti Vedanta Narayan Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti began Parati Goswami Maharaj, to our Param Gurudev Srila Bhakti Pragyan Keshava Goswami Maharaj, and Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakur Prabhupada, and all his divine associates, especially to Lochan Das Thakur, whose disappearance day it is today. And this afternoon we'll be having a reading about him. What time?
In person or in Zoom?
Well, we'll be here and we'll be on Zoom. Yeah, 6 o'clock, 5:30, 5:30. Okay. So, and to all the assembled devotees. So we are on chapter 10, moving back in time 5,000 years. Now we have just arrived in Dwarka. Krishna was in Hastinapur for some time. And then when the war was over, to please his relatives like Maharaj Yudhisthira, Subhadra, his sister, Queen Kunti, and the other relatives, he stayed for a few months on their plea, on their begging. And then he went to his own home city of Dwarka, where we are now. We were just reading yesterday how the different associates greeted him. And is he there yet? Did he arrive yet?
I don't remember.
No, he's on his way. He has not arrived. He's just now getting ready to go. And everybody's crying, but they understood that he's been there for a long time. And now Yudhisthira Maharaj, having been inspired by Bhishma Deva and Krishna, now he's ruling his kingdom so wonderfully that there's never any severe heat or cold. All the weather is perfect. There's no enmity, even between animals and man, animals to animals. The seas, the mines, the agricultural fields, everything is paying their tax. The deities of these, all the natural functions, are paying their taxes to Maharaj Yudhisthira because his government is so excellent. Not that like today they exploit and then they want tax on top of that. So let's say we're up to 20.
We're going to say the prayers.
And yes, and the ladies on the roof, the ladies all went on the roof out of shyness. So it's stated here in the purport that shyness is a great quality of a woman. Even if she's like haggard and poor and unattractive, she's more attractive and gets more respect than some attractive woman who's not shy. This is Vedic culture. All right. So we're on 20. First, we will do the glorification. Dharma prochita kaitavocha paramo nirmatsaranam sitam vedyam vastavamastravastu shivadam tapachayanamulinam Srimad Bhagavate Mahamuni Kimba Parayarishvara Sadyo Vidyavaru Jite Shushursuvis Takshana. Is there a chat section that we can put in the Sanskrit and translation? Okay, good. Good. So starting tomorrow, we'll have the Sanskrit and English up on the chat. Nigamakopataro galitam palam shukamakaram rititravasamitam Vivitabhagavatam rasamalayam ahuraho rasika bhavibhavaka Yasutta uvacha Pravajantam anupetam apeta krityam Dvaipayano virakata ajahava Putreti tanmayataya tadavo banedas Tam sarva bhuta hridayam Manimanatosmi Yaksvanubhavam akila shruti saramekam Adhyatmadipamati satam tamodam Samsaranam karunaya aparanagoyam Tam vyasasurnam upayami gurum munina Narayanam namaskrityam Naram chaiva narottamam Devim saraswatim vyasam Tato jayamudirayat Srinvatam Swakata Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vedantasto Yavadrani Vidunoti Sagatsatam Krishne Swadama Pagate Dharma Jnana Saha Kalo Nasta Drishameta Puranarko Dunodita Anartamam Anarto Pashamam Shakshat Bhakti Yoga Madhoksaje Lokasya Janata Vidvams Chakve Satvata Samhita Namami Devam Karuna Madanam Tamavanam Sahitavataram Apara samsara samudra sekam Pajamahe bhagavata swarupam. Now we'll resume our study of chapter 10, verse number 21. Savaikiliyayam purushak puratano ya eka siddha vishesha atmani agre gunebhyo jagaratmani sware nimelitatmam nishatsupta shakti. They said, who said? The ladies on the roofs of all the houses in Hastinapur began to talk about him. And this talk was more attractive to him than the hymns of the Vedas because there's so much love there. They said, here he is, the original personality of Godhead, as we definitely remember him. He alone, this is like the verse we're learning in the morning, it's Asame Vagrame, Ahame Evasame Vagre. He is the original personality of Godhead. He alone existed before the manifested creation of modes of nature, and in him only, because he is the Supreme Lord, all beings merge as if sleeping at night, their energy suspended. So really, when you get down to it, there's nothing outside of Krishna. Just imagine how much in illusion we are. I'm thinking, yeah, there's Krishna, there are the curtains, there are the rugs, there's Mangala. But it's all Krishna. How it is? We learn from Shastra and then we realize by the practice of bhakti. The personality of Godhead, again desiring to give names and forms to his parts and parcels, the living entities, place them under the guidance. Place them under the guidance of material nature. So he wanted to give us names and forms. So he put us under Maya. By his own potency, material nature is empowered to recreate. Here is the same Supreme Personality Godhead, whose transcendental form is experienced by the great devotees who are completely cleansed of material consciousness by dint of rigid devotional service and full control of the life and senses. That is the only way to purify existence. Oh, dear friends, these are the ladies on the roof. Oh, dear friends, here is that very personality of Godhead whose attractive and confidential pastimes are described in the confidential parts of the Vedic literatures by his great devotees. It is he only who creates, maintains, and annihilates the material world, and yet he remains unaffected. You see that so often in different wordings, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, Bhagavatam. Whenever there are kings and administrators living like animals in the lowest modes of existence, the Lord in his transcendental form manifests his supreme power, the truth positive, TP, truth positive. Always shows special mercy to the faithful, performs wonderful activities, and manifests various transcendental forms as is necessary in different periods and ages. Like these are really compressed cotton. There's so much deep meaning in each of these verses. I was just hearing Gurudev say in a lecture today that Krishna more likes to protect and take care of his devotees, even if they're fallen, but they're still doing bhakti, like they have bad habits, but they're still doing bhakti, rather than someone who has absolutely perfect habits but isn't doing bhakti. They're already fallen. But a devotee, even if he falls, there's no loss because Gurudev said in his next janam, in his next life, he could pick up from where he is left off. Whereas somebody who's perfectly executing material duties, there's no gain for him. It's all loss because he's doing so many unconscious sinful activities during his life, even breathing, stepping on ants and so forth. He's just on his way down. He's already fallen, his eyes were lower. So this is seeing through the eyes of scriptures. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all beings, the husband of the goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. Undoubtedly, it is wonderful that Dwarka has defeated the glories of the heavenly planets and has enhanced the celebrity of the earth. The inhabitants of Dwarka are always seeing the soul of all living beings, Krishna, in his loving feature. His glances at them and favors them. He glances at them and favors them with sweet smiles. Oh, friends, just think of his wives, whose hands he has accepted. How they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar of his lips by kissing. The damsels of Brajabhumi would often faint just by expecting such favors. I didn't know he kissed his wives.
Well, it's like,
Huh?
it's talking about the devotees.
Well, it says his wives who he accepted the hands of. Let's see what all this is about. I'll read the verse again. Just think of his wives whose hands he has accepted, how they must have undergone vows, baths, fire sacrifices, and perfect worship of the Lord of the universe to constantly relish now the nectar of his lips by kissing. The damsels of Braji would often faint, just expecting such favors. Well, wow, that jumped from one thing to another, didn't it?
Mhm.
Let's see what it means. Religious rites prescribed in the scriptures are meant to purify the mundane qualities of the conditioned souls to enable them to gradually be promoted to the stage of rendering transcendental service unto the Lord. Attainment of that stage is pure spiritual life to the highest perfection. This is called Swarup, factual identity of the living being. Liberation means renovation of the stage of Swarup. In the perfect stage of Swarup, the living being is established in 5 phases of loving service, one of which is the stage of Madhurya Ras, or the humor of conjugal love. He's always perfect in himself, thus he has no hankering for himself. But he becomes a master, a friend, a son, or a husband to fulfill the intense love of the devotees concerned. Herein, 2 classes of devotees of the Lord are mentioned in a stage of conjugal love. One is Swakya and the other is Parakya. Both of them are in conjugal love with Krishna. The queens are Swakya, or duly married wives, but the damsels of Braj were young friends of Krishna while he was unmarried. The Lord stayed in Vrindavan until 16, and his friendly relations with the neighboring girls were in terms of Parakya. These girls, as well as the queens, underwent severe penances by taking vows, bathing, and offering sacrifices in the fire, as prescribed in the scriptures. The rites, as they are not the end in itself, themselves, nor are fruit of actions, culture of knowledge, or perfection of mystic powers. They are all means to attain the highest stage of Swarup, to render service to the Lord. Each and every living being has an individual position in one of the above mentioned 5 kinds of reciprocating means with the Lord. Well, it doesn't really explain the verse in terms of
But-
getting a wife's kissing.
The next sentence.
Oh, really? Really? Okay, let's see. I missed the most important sentence. The kissing, thank you. The kissing of the Lord, either by his wives or his young girlfriends who aspire to have him as their fiancé, is not of any mundane purpose. Well, there it goes. He does kiss that. Who aspire to have the Lord as a fiancé is not of any mundane perverted quality. Had such things been mundane, a liberated soul like Sukadeva would not have taken the trouble to relish them, nor would Chaitanya Mahaprabhu have been inclined to participate in those subjects after renouncing worldly life. This stage is attained by those who, after many lives of penance. So that's for some, but the Nityasiddha gopis, the eternally perfect gopis. They're just naturally like that. The children of these ladies are Pradyumna, Samba, Amba, etc. Ladies like Rukmini, Satyabhama, and Jamavati were forcibly taken away by him from their Swayambara ceremonies after he defeated many powerful kings headed by Shishupal. And other ladies were also forcibly taken away by him after he killed Bhaumasura and thousands of his assistants. All of these ladies are glorious. All these women, auspicious, so the ladies of Hastinapur are glorifying the ladies of Dwarka and Vrindavan. All these women auspiciously glorified their lives despite their being without individuality and without purity. Their husband, the lotus-eyed personality of Godhead, never left them alone at home. He always pleased their hearts by making valuable presentations. So what does it say? They were without purity because they were taken by Bhaumasura. Just like when Sita was taken by Ravana, she was considered impure by those who were less intelligent. But they sincerely prayed to Krishna for their deliverance, and their sincerity of purpose made them at once pure, amazing, by virtue of devotion. Therefore, he accepted them as his wives, and thus their lives became glorified. And that was the 16,000. While the ladies of the capital of Hastinapur were greeting him and talking on the way in this way. So if girls want to talk, you know what the best thing to talk about is. Accepted their good greetings and casting the grace of his glance over them, he departed from the city. Maharaj Yudhisthira, although no one's enemy, engaged 4 divisions of defense, horse, elephant, chariot, and army, to accompany Krishna, the enemy of the Asuras, demons. The Maharaj did this because of the enemy and also out of affection for the Lord. So what enemies were still there? These are natural defensive measures, that any country will have. They're trained to move to any part of the hills or forests and plains. The charioteers could fight with many horses and elephants by the strength of powerful arrows, even up to the standard of Brahmastra, similar to the atomic weapon. So he knew that Krishna was everyone's friend and well-wisher, and yet there were demons who were by nature envious of the Lord. So out of fear of attack from others and out of affection for the Lord, he engaged all varieties of defensive forces as bodyguards. Out of profound affection, the Pandavas, who were of the Kuru dynasty, accompanied him a considerable distance to see him off. They really gave him a fond farewell, didn't they? The ladies and the infantry and riding with him. They were overwhelmed with the thought of future separation. The Lord, however, persuaded them to return home. This is like in Vrindavan, when his parents, they can't bear to see him go cow herding every day, so they follow him, and he said, go home. Everything will be fine. And he proceeded towards Dwarka with his dear companions. Oh, Shonaka, here we are. We're back to Naimisharanya, aren't we? With Sutta Goswami and the sages. Oh, Shonaka, the Lord then proceeded towards Kuru Jangala, Panchala, Surasena, the land on the bank of the river Jamuna, Brahmavarta, Kurukshetra, Matsya, Saraswata, the province of the desert and the land of scanty water. After crossing these provinces, he gradually reached Sovira and Abira provinces. Then west of these, at last, he reached Dwarka. On his journey through these provinces, he was welcomed, worshipped, and given various presentations. In the evening, in all places, he suspended his journey to perform evening rites. Even Krishna did evening rites. This was regularly observed after sunset.
What's that?
Huh?
Thus ends the Bhaktivinoda purport of the first canto, 10th chapter, Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna.
Well, wait. I wanted to look at the purport here because, are you in a hurry?
No, just last time, it's nice to,
End with Prabhupada's ending.
and, because I didn't know yesterday we switched to a new chapter.
Oh, okay. So let's see if this says about what rites Krishna did at night. It is said here that he observed religious principles regularly while on journey. So even when he was traveling, he didn't say, well, okay, I'm on journey. Forget the rituals tonight. There is certainly philosophical speculations that even the Lord is under the obligation of fruitive action. But actually, it's not the case. He does not depend on the action of good or bad work. Since he's absolute, everything done by him is good for everyone. But when he descends on earth, he acts for the protection of the devotees and annihilation of the non-devotees. Although he has no obligatory duty, still he does everything so that others may follow. That is the way of factual teaching. One must act properly himself and teach the same to others. Oh, otherwise no one will accept his blind teaching. He is himself the water of fruitive results. But it doesn't say what he did it? It doesn't say what particular. See, his acts are even of evening prayer. Let's see, he did some prayers. Isn't that amazing? The Lord in human society does what the duty of everyone, but sometimes he does something extraordinary, not to be imitated. His acts of evening prayer, as stated, I wonder who he prays to.
Was it all taken?
As stated below, as stated herein, must be followed by the living being. But it is not possible to follow his mountain lifting or dancing with the gopis. One cannot imitate the sun, which can exhaust water even from a filthy place. The most powerful can do something which is all good, but our imitation of such acts will put us in endless difficulty. Therefore, one has to be under the guidance of Guru. Thus end the Bhaktivedanta purports of the first canto, 10th chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, entitled Departure of Lord Krishna for Dwarka. Now, in the next chapter, he's going to be entering. Huh? It's called Krishna's Entrance into Dwarka. Sutu Vacha Bhaktinaimishranya Anartan Sa Uparvajya Shridan Jana Pradan Svakam Tadmau Taravaram Tisham Prashadam Samanam Niva. Sutta Goswami said, upon reaching the border of his most prosperous metropolis, known as the country of the Anartas, Dwarka. It's different from Anartha. This is Anartha, Anartha, and that's Anartha. The Lord sounded his auspicious conch shell, heralding his arrival and apparently pacifying the dejection of the inhabitants. The white and fat bowled conch shell, being gripped by the hand of the Lord and sounded by him, appeared to be reddened by the touch of his transcendental lips. It seemed that a white swan was playing in the stems of a red lotus flower. Tam upashutyani nadam jagadpaya payavaham pratyudaya prajapsarva partra darshanavasam. The citizens of Dwarka, having heard that sound, which threatens fear personified in the material world, began to run towards him fast, just to have a long desired audience of the Lord, who is the protector of the devotees. The citizens arrived before the Lord with their respective presentations, offering them to the fully satisfied and self-sufficient Lord, who, by his own potency, incessantly supplies others. He's the what? Self-sufficient philosopher who has been supplying everyone's desires since time immemorial. Those presentations were like offering a lamp to the sun. Yet the citizens began to speak in ecstatic language to receive the Lord, just as wards welcome their guardian and father. Because he's the life and soul. It's like when you have a body without a soul, and the soul comes back into the body and gets life. That's what it was like. The citizen said, "Oh, you are worshipped by all demigods like Brahma, the four sons, and even the King of Heaven. You are the ultimate rest for those who are really aspiring to achieve the highest benefit of life. You are the supreme transcendental Lord, and inevitable time cannot exert its influence over you. Rather, Krishna himself is time, inevitable time. O creator of the universe, you are our mother, well-wisher, Lord, Father, spiritual master, and worshipful deity. By following in your footsteps, we have become successful in every respect. We pray, therefore, that you continue to bless us by your mercy. Oh, it is our good luck that you have come again today, under your protection and by your presence, for your lordship rarely visits even the denizens of heaven. Now it is possible for us to look unto your smiling face, into which is full of affectionate glances. We can now see he glances at everybody, but with a different mood. Conjugal, master, friendship. Everybody gets the glance, but feels differently. We can now see your transcendental form, full of all auspiciousness. I'm getting too tired. I'm tired. Can we stop here unless you want to read? Are there any questions?
I have one. So all these pastimes and different appearance from different devotees and demigods and everything that we're reading is just for us to learn Krishna's personality so we could qualify to go into the heavenly planets one day. Or we can be able, like
Are you saying, are we reading all this to attract us to him, to understand his greatness, so that we want to surrender to him? Because unless somebody's really great, why should you surrender? So that we want to be with him? Is that your question? Sure.
This is all for us.
Well, he really did it. It really happened. But the reason it's presented in the book is just for us to have faith in him, to see his glories, to understand our relationship with him, to take to the process to realize him, but not to go to the heavenly planets. They're material. And so there's still birth, old age, disease, and death, and anxieties. Even Indra, the god of the rains, gets an anxiety.
So much work.
Huh?
So much work.
It's a lot of work. Any other question? Okay, we're going to end here then. Still, there was a lot to read, even though it's short, it's a lot to remember. Like Gurudev said, whatever I speak to you, if you repeat it, then it'll go in your heart. If you talk about something else, it'll evaporate in the air. So you'll be all with people today. You can talk about it. Ko premanandi panchakalpachivya strikapasinabhyevacha patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavi namo namaha. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Nitai Gora Haribo, 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 Gora Haribo.